Hello everyone, I am Tacit and welcome to another Gems of War stream, Campaign 6, Week 1, Day 6. So today, as well as yesterday, as well as tomorrow, we still got ourselves the Vault event. It was nerfed compared to the previous Vault events. However, despite the double nerf, one the previous time and one this time, it is still very ridiculously strong, as you can see by the key number right over there. I'm pointing the right way. It's so weird because it's like inverted pointing, so I'm pointing like the opposite direction of which it is. But anyways, it visually is there. But anyways, yeah, we found like 100 keys already. So, or you know, if you take all three of them in combination, and we're gonna keep going. We will be doing a combination of Gnomopalooza and non-Gnomopalooza though. We are starting to finally run low of like infinite paloozas. So we actually need to go out of our way and go farm some at some point here, which we'll probably do in between. So the game plan will be we'll throw down like a Gnomopalooza or two, then switch to actually farming them, and then probably throw down another Gnomopalooza or two. I do want to keep some amount of reserve of Gnomopaloozas on hand, and those aren't Gnomopaloozas, they're there. So I don't know, I feel like I want to keep 10 sets, and if that is the case, I think we do one Gnomopalooza, then keep farming until we hopefully find 2 vs 2s, and then maybe do another one. I'm not sure, but I do want to try keeping around 10 if we can, just so we can throw a few at the beginning of every single Gnomopalooza if we need, in case there's like a weekend we don't have as much time. We just throw a bunch down, and boom, the number that you see right to our right happens. Because I think that was only 4 Gnomopaloozas, because we were talking a lot rest of the time and doing other stuff. But I'm pretty sure that number over there is only 4 Gnomopaloozas. Also, do not forget, we do have some Imperials, which honestly I think is where we're going to start. Just clear these out. Definitely don't want to pass up on Imperials. That's unfortunately one of the very useful resources that is not in Vault Keys. So we unfortunately do not get deeds from them. I am looking for where on earth my Phoenicia team is. I really need to keep on that top. But anyways, we still need to organize a lot of those. Anyways, hello everyone! Hope all of you have been having a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Especially a Gnomopalooza weekend. Also, hey, look at that. We already found a verse gnome. Not the one we're looking for, but a verse gnome's still good. We've been getting really lucky on Daily Adventure Board. Didn't we find 2 yesterday on Daily Adventure Board? And now we found 1 just off of this for reverse battle. But hello Michael, hello Hung, hello Bill, hello Tyrion, hello NASA, hello Isabel, hello Cookie, hello Sushi Ninja, hello Katie, hello everyone else. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, look at this luck. So far within, what, 8 battles? We found 3 Gnomopalooza gnomes. As far as dailies, which is pretty funny. Obviously, that's way above average, or not actually that common. Though you can find about 8 per hour. Though we are finding way more than that as a ratio right now. Yeah, you can find around 8 per hour, I believe it comes out to. Because they actually have not changed the... They haven't nerfed anything outside of Gnomopalooza. The most recent changes that they made only affect specifically the Gnomopalooza active... A Gnomopalooza being active itself. It does not actually affect the gnome rate outside of Gnomopalooza or anything like that. So no nerf that was done in the most recent thing affects the normal farming. As we can see by another one. Like, for example, this loot off of this gnome should be the exact normal loot that you would normally get, and not be the reduced loots. Only in a Gnomopalooza specifically does it have that reduced loot. Also, I was hoping that would kill. That did not kill. However, Black Manacles will. Oh, nope, that won't either. Spell reduction. Wonderful. And it just dies to convert. The backup plan. That's one nice thing about Mirage Queen. It is so good that that thing has a skull spam on it. And look, wow, we got a Vault Key already, too. What is this? Too bad we can't get infinite of those Imperials, though. But, wow, our luck on gnomes right now is just insane. I'll take it, though. So it is a Vault event, after all. Let's just clear out dungeons real quick, and then let's get on that grind. We'll go pop a Gnomopalooza. And then I think we're going to need to start actually farming some. And just doing some normal explore to try to farm some more verses so we don't hit 0. And by hitting 0, I mean 10. I think 10 is going to be our baseline for now on, where we try to make sure we keep above 10 if we can. Hello, Bushka. Hello, Bobster. Hello, David. Hello, Sizzle. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, yeah, also, I wasn't able to get the video out today. I really need to go record it before the end of the week. It's mostly just going to go over, we kind of already went over on stream, but I mostly just want to go over the Season 6 stuff. You know, like the little power gem that does 7 to 11 of the color and all that kind of stuff. Mostly just want to mention that. And a quick Soulforge thing. Because, of course, 2 really good things in Soulforge this week. Weaver and Lord of Slaughter really nice pickups, particularly the Weaver. Though I would say Lord or Slaughter is stronger, but Weaver is used way more often, so Weaver it is. It's used for green, purple, and yellow Guild War days, which is one of its biggest values. And there's a lot of true damage builds that end up using it. Plus, it has a really low mana cost. Plus, it has a really good summon. There's like almost nothing bad about it. It's just a little bit slow compared to other options, but really good at not dying. Anyways, oh, you're having some white chocolate. Oh gosh, I haven't had white chocolate in so long. I can't even remember the last time. Oh, the raspberries too. Oh gosh, that sounds absolutely amazing. Everything that you just mentioned. Absolutely amazing. But yeah, I can't remember the last time I've had white chocolate. I'm looking for... The problem too is I'm allergic to nuts, and a lot of white chocolate's processed enough that it like almost always contains nuts. Let me go and... actually, I guess it doesn't technically matter where we go. Because what's our campaign right now? Because we still have not finished out the campaign stuff. However, we're doing it in a way where it's going to get done passively, so kind of doesn't matter too much. But like right now, all we have to do is just kill a bunch of random junk, which we'll all do regardless of where we go. Especially since we're just going to be hunting down gnomes. I guess we'll just do it in Blackhawk. It really does not matter where we go, though. I'm looking for Dust Devil, and the reason why I'm doing this, of course, is just to make sure when we go use the Gnomopalooza, we're actually on the correct team. That is very important. Otherwise, we waste about 30 seconds of our Gnomopalooza switching back to the correct team. Where on earth is my Gnomopalooza team? I really need to rename it something that's more obvious. It's kind of funny because it was named something else previously that was like somewhat incorrect, but I always clicked on it correctly. But now I named it something completely different, and now I almost never can find it. Alright, now our team should be saved. And let's go to use one. The first of many. Where is Gnomopalooza? Let's go use one. And then we'll go try hunting for the elusive red scroll. Or the red verse, I mean. Can you tell us the order of the kingdom events? You don't know all the backgrounds? Oh, oh yeah, sure. I can go mention that during the thing. We can go over that as well during this stream, too. Yeah, we'll make sure to mention that during the video tomorrow. It's definitely something we can include. By tomorrow, hopefully I can get it done tonight. Just got busier today. Finally got all the food shopping done that I need to get done, though, if nothing else. Probably the main thing I got done today. That and resting. Though I still feel so tired. My sleep schedule has just been so weird the last few days. Mostly because of the flight. The flight was at like a really weird time compared to when I normally take flights. Because it was like right in the middle of the night. And then I was sleeping on the plane. But then when I got off the plane, I wasn't tired. So that led to some issues. Just completely threw off my sleep schedule. Because I wasn't the one who set up the flights this time. It's actually the first trip I've been on in around almost a decade where I did not specifically set up the flights. Though if nothing else, that trip cost me almost nothing. I think during it I spent $260 total. I believe that's it. And then again, that was actually slightly more than my other trip, oddly enough. It was mostly a lot of family stuff. Almost every vacation I ever go on is like under 500. I normally do it in a way where it does end up doing it that way. Mostly because whenever I go anywhere, I generally have housing covered. I haven't actually done any trip where that hasn't been the case. Normally because I know someone at least everywhere where I go. Either family or friends. Or at least so far, anyways. Let's see. I'll throw that down. But yeah, how have you guys been enjoying the new Gnomopalooza? And by new Gnomopalooza, I mean the nerfed Gnomopalooza, but it's still pretty good. The Volkies are still insane. I will go get a number after this and see what our totals are. Like right there, boom, Volky. $430 Volkies and 43 epics. Nice. That's some pretty solid loot. Yeah, in the current state of the game, if you have 0 Gnomopaloozas and you farm for, I believe, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, you would still be able to hit 500 Volkies. Even if he had 0 Gnomopaloozas, it is still possible within a single event to hit 500 Volkeys between normal and epics. I believe it's around 10 to 12 hours per day. Forget exactly what it comes down to. But last I recall, you can get about 8 verses per hour. So that's an hour and a half if you do get exactly that. And that's an hour and a half per 4. Each one averages like, what, 20 or so Volkeys? Not counting, plus the like 1 or 2 epics that it gives. So if you did that 10 times over, that's what, 200? So yeah, if you did it for, what is that, like 25 to 30 hours total, you would have, approximately, could take a little longer, could take a little less, so likely a little longer. But yeah, like 25 to 40. If you did that many hours within a Vault weekend, you would still hit 500 Volkeys. Though hitting 1,000 is going to be ridiculously hard in the current state of the game. Though theoretically still possible. Though very unlikely due to how much time it takes. That's why I wanted to get it done that one event, because I had a feeling we'd never be able to do 1,000 again. Which is probably the case, because unless you just spend one entire Vault event just farming up Gnomopaloozas and then the next event just using Gnomopaloozas, it's going to be really hard to actually hit it with one single event. However, if you break it down that way, you still could. Because at that point, you're just running straight Gnomopaloozas, and Volkey and Epic Volkey drop rate has not been touched. And hopefully it doesn't get touched. Because they're pretty nice. It's kind of funny, my vacation got back the exact day of the Vault event. That was not planned. Originally, what was supposed to happen is it was actually going to... I was going to completely miss the Vault event with how it was aligned. However, the most recent patch that added Gnomopaloozas actually changed the date of this Vault event. It was originally supposed to be last week, but then it got changed to this week because they ended up adding a Vault event that weekend immediately after the patch, which was the one that infamously broke the game, resource-wise. But, yeah, originally it was supposed to be last week. We kind of got pretty lucky there. Because Bounty Hunter was supposed to be this weekend, and the Vault event was supposed to be last weekend, but they got switched. Ooh, double Volkey, which is pretty convenient. Because not covering a Bounty Hunter means pretty much nothing, because every Bounty Hunter is almost the exact same, except for one singular troop that's normally in your backline. Very rarely is a Bounty troop actually viable within your Bounty team. And even if it is, it's only like a one troop switch off normally. Just because the meta is kind of already established with Tagaraki, as well as the Ogress, but particularly the Tagaraki. Hello, Tobias! Welcome back! You made it at the perfect time to go do some Vault event this weekend. Hopefully you can get your first Gnomopalooza off if you haven't already. Because the loot is very high, as you can see. Even after the nerf. Hopefully they're done nerfing it now, though. I really hope they don't do a third nerf. We're going to find out like 1 week before the thing. It's like, yeah, people are still getting too many resources. We're just going to nerf it again. I sure hope they're done nerfing it at this point. I definitely won't go over too well if they nerf it for a third time. The first one kind of made sense. The second one was kind of meh. But they didn't nerf like the main reason why you'd want to do it. But if they nerf like the Volkey drop rate, that's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. If they do that third nerf at some point. I don't think they're going to ever nerf the Volkeys themselves, though. Since that would disincentivize people to actually buy them as well. Since if they nerf all Volkeys, that would kind of be lowering their value. And at this point, I think they're just going to balance the game out after, based on having a lot of Volkeys. Like, you can already kind of see it with the old, if you're playing free-to-play, having to get to the old season troops, the tarot cards. Like those, you need quite a few Volkeys for. Like, you open 100 Volkeys, there's not even a guaranteed chance you'll get one. And even if you get one, it's a completely random one, so you could, you know, it's kind of like a mythic, where you end up using a bunch of keys, and then it's like, oh, I got one I already have. If you do it when it's, you know, just like normal gem keys. However, yeah, the Volkey drop tables starting to become like that, especially as more and more come into the game. Like a year from now, if we have like almost a dozen of them or so, it's going to start to get really annoying unless they change up how exactly that works. Because the drop tables is going to get so saturated with drops, and kind of like how right now, it's so hard to get the gnomes because there's like, what, 9, 10 different gnomes? There's the 6 colored ones. There's the extra Daemon gnome, the Valraven. Oh yeah, there's like, gosh, there's like 11 of them if you count Valraven or something like that. If you use Greed and set 3 Yasmin's tokens, 100 gold, yes. You can do the gold version of this. We were for quite a while as far as using the gold version of this. We have since then switched to this. It is ever so slightly quicker, mostly because the explosion on Greed makes it a bit slower. The gold rate on the Greed team is like 100 or 200,000 quicker, though. There's no wrong way of doing it. Either or is perfectly fine. Greed is ever so slightly slower. And by ever so slightly, I think it's like 2 or 3 battles per Gnomopalooza in difference. However, you get like 200,000 or 300,000 more gold from using the Greed team. The main reason for using a Sister Superior is if you get even one single vault key from her battles, it's kind of worth the difference. You're basically buying a vault key for 100 or 200,000 gold or so, which if you could infinitely do that, you kind of would. But I don't know, there's no wrong way of doing it. Either or works. Theoretically, there could eventually be a better option in Sister Superior as well. Her Bless has an ever so slight delay, because the way that the game works is you can't cast until, or at least in the current state of the game, it didn't always used to work like that, and there used to be some funny glitches with it. But the way that it currently works is you have to wait till all the traits trigger before you can actually cast your Empower. Whereas at one point you actually could cast before then, which led to some funny interactions where you can kind of counter quick enough to before their traits even trigger. But in the current state of the game, you have to wait till all the traits trigger. And Greed's trait takes a decent amount of time because of the one explosion. However, Sister Superior still has a small delay as well. She has Bless as one of her traits, and while it's nowhere near as big of a delay as Omen, it is still a delay. And that delay does add to, like, several milliseconds. It's not a lot, but you add it up, it's like at least several seconds over the course of a Gnomopalooza. And several seconds is like a battle, pretty much. So there is still eventually going to be even a quicker option than Sister Superior. There just isn't anything yet that has Empower while not damaging, while also not having any other traits that would trigger to waste time. It's going to be a weird combination to ever have, which is why currently there is none. There's no trip that actually does that. It would have to not do any damage, it would have to not do any board control, and it would have to not have any traits other than Empower that waste time. It's a very rare combination that currently no trip in the entire game has, despite there being over 1,000 of them. Sister Superior is the closest to it. But she still has one trait that wasted an ever so slight amount of time to Bless. Or the Ververed, I mean. I forgot they changed the name of it when they added the Bless mechanic. And a Cursed used to be called just Curse, but then they added the mechanic of Curse. So they had to get rid of it. Basically, when Bless and Curse came into the game, they had to get rid of Blessed and Cursed traits and rename them to Revered and Accursed, so that it wouldn't be as much confusion. Because that'd be very confusing if there were traits that were called the same thing as the effects while not applying the effect. Though that would have been cool if they applied the effect. Honestly, I would love to see things that apply effects on like turn 1. Like guaranteed instead of just percents. Like if the mythic that we were getting at the end of the season was like a guarantee full team enchant at the start of battle. There's so many things you could do with that. Or at least a better percent. 50% is just so low. I mean, a 15%. I wish it was 50%. Catch you later, Rogue. Thanks for stopping by. You're determined to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow, nice. I'm determined to sleep in tomorrow. I still need to catch up on sleeps. I feel like it's still going to affect me for at least the next several days. It normally takes me like a good week to catch up back on sleep when my whole sleep schedule gets thrown off. But tomorrow night, we're definitely going to need to grind Gnomopalooza quite a bit. That is for sure. Another vault key, great to see. Feels weird all the side resources not giving you infinite resources anymore. But it kind of makes sense. It was just downpouring resources. If nothing else, at least pretty much everyone who participated in last Vault event, not this one, but the previous one, pretty much has Dawnbringer now. So whenever we mention Dawnbringer teams, it's a lot more likely people have it. Because normally the biggest bottleneck is the 1.3 million souls. However, it's a lot easier these days. Even a nerfed one still gives a pretty solid amount of souls. Like, I'm pretty sure this is still giving, like, what, 10,000 souls per Gnomopalooza or something? Maybe a bit less than that. But still a pretty decent amount. Like, we're still seeing soul gnome drops in the hundreds for a couple of them. Have a guild to join? I'm pretty sure ours is full at the moment. But if you ever need to find any, Global Chat 1 and Gems of War, as well as the Gems of War forum, really good locations to check for guilds. If you're ever looking for some. Alright, this Gnomopalooza should be ending soon. Then we'll go update our number, and then I think we'll go do some side verse farming. Because I kind of want to see what the raid is again. I'm pretty sure it's still been untouched. But I haven't really verse farmed since the beginning. Aside from a little bit here and there. I haven't really verse farmed since that very first day where Gnomopaloozas existed. In the previous events. Ah, there we go. Yeah, I caught it correct. We were kind of near the end. I am looking for both of these claims. We still got a couple objectives that we still have not finished. Though luckily we have been passively getting them done without ever touching a single one of them. So currently we have to use this banner. I guess we'll go get this out of the way just real quick. We're going to be doing normal farming anyways, so might as well. So we'll just go to a location like this, set our banner to brown yellow, and then boom, it's done. Where on earth is brown yellow banner? You know what, I'm just going to type it in. There it is. Okay. Let's go do some normal farming. Or at least for 4 battles, if nothing else. And then we'll go update our numbers. And then we'll continue with this team. And of course, normal farming is the same it's always been. Previous to Gnomopalooza ever existing. You just very quickly kill, explore, and then you're good to go. And Dust Devil is currently the most efficient way of doing this. The Ironhawk Dust Devil team. If you don't have this, Rowan is your next best bet. Which is also the other thing you'd be using for the Gnomopalooza itself. The same team's used for both. However, there is a variant that does work for... It doesn't work for Gnomopalooza, but it does work for this. That uses only one Ironhawk. That uses Slayer Hero class. Instead of the second Ironhawk. Oh wait, never mind. That was our last task. I thought there was one more afterwards. Oh, there we go. Hey, we finally finished out the campaign task this week. Without barely even doing a single one. So just from doing standard dailies over the course of a week, as well as repick spamming them for the Gnomopalooza, we actually didn't really need to do a single one of them. I did not go out of my way for pretty much a single one, except some of them where I think it was like open a small handful of keys or something, which takes like, you know, several seconds. But aside from that, we basically did not go out of our way at all to get the entirety of the chapter done. Also, that is the latest in the week I have ever gotten the chapter done. But I'll be doing it on Mondays once again. Every single Monday night, as we normally do. But anyways, now that out of the way, let me go update our numbers and see what on earth we're at with those. Let me just double check where we're at. We were at 67,118. So 67 is the number of reference. And we are currently at 54, which means we're at 80... Math. 87. That seems about right. 87.7. Alright, let's go update our numbers. 87.7. That seems pretty much where we are. If I had to guess our pity, we are at 23. Yeah, it might be actually too low. Nope, 23. I got it. Right on the dot. Okay, there we go. That's where our numbers currently stand. Now, for the first time ever, since the very brokenness of the previous events, we have hit single digits on one of our verses, particularly verse 2, which is kind of weird because for the longest time, actually literally the entire time until yesterday, we were at verse 4 as our lowest verse, personally. However, now it is verse 2. So now that we are officially in single digits, let's go see if we can get back. So we're just going to go farm normally and do this for a little while in order to go and get some verses. And how about this? The first verse 2 we get, we will hand out a code. That is not a verse 2, however, it is a verse. That is indeed a verse. Just not the verse we're looking for, though theoretically every verse is a verse we're looking for. But yeah, the first verse 2 we get, I will hand out a redeem code. Hopefully we will actually be getting one this hour. That'd be very weird if we didn't. I've already gotten 2 verses so far to stream. One just by doing the other daily, the other one just literally now. But first verse 2 we'll hand out a code. Yeah, last I recall, this gives about 8 verses per hour, give or take. Can be less, can be more. The only issue with it giving 8 per hour is, let's say you currently have like near 0. It can, of course, give you like 5 of one, 3 of another, or something similar. Or, you know, it's not going to distribute it evenly amongst the 4. Its chance of doing so is, you know, even. However, the actual probability of it happening is relatively low. Generally, one of them is going to be like 1 or 2 higher than the rest, just based on pure luck or lack thereof. Oh, so hello, Bernice! Let's see. Do we have anything about the 2 missing spots on a Palooza? What do you mean? Craft. Will it be 2 new gnomes? What do you mean by 2 missing spots? Like, I know that there's 6 spots to craft stuff, but I wouldn't really say they're missing, necessarily. They're more so just unused slots. Not everything in Soulforge uses all 6. That is a bit weird that they didn't have, like, a soul or some kind of other cost associated with it. But no, not everything in Soulforge uses all 6 slots to craft it. Some use smaller, some use more. Or, no, none use more, actually. But, you know, it's a limit of 6. But they use anywhere from 1 to... Well, actually, I don't think any of them use 1. But they use anywhere from 2 to 6 different resources. And Gnomopalooza is happen to use 4. So I almost forgot this guy even exists. I was like, wait, what's that troop art? And I was like, oh, yeah, that. Because I saw this troop art, and it's like, oh, yeah, that thing. It's one of the old... No, it isn't. Wait, what is this? Oh, yeah, that was a weird, really weird troop that's useless. I wonder why I don't remember him. Generally, the worse a troop is when it gets released in recent times, the more I completely forget they exist. Like the one this week. I already forget what we even had this Monday. Probably because we didn't even cover a video on it either. But, we'll be soon. But, yeah, it's kind of useless. I can't remember what it is, but I remember that it was not good. Is it worth it to do Gnome and Epic Vault Key hard on 20% more reward? Yes. Assuming you can take it without losing consistently. But if you can consistently take out both of them on 20% without ever losing, it is worth it even if it takes like 3 times as long. Another Gnomopalooza gnome. Unfortunately, that is not verse 2. That is a verse, just not specifically verse 2. There's one Soulforge recipe with a single ingredient. Oh yeah, there is one with only 1. I forgot. The useless 10 diamonds into 100 souls. You should never, ever, 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 ever do that. There's literally nothing for me to use diamonds on, and it is still not worth using it on that. It is just a terrifically bad value. Even if it's 1,000, even if it was 10,000. Oh, maybe if it was 10,000, that would actually be worth it. But even if it was 1,000, I don't think it would be worth it. 10,000 though, that actually would. If you could exchange 10 diamonds for 1,000 souls, that actually would be worth it, I think. Barely worth it, but if you had like literally nothing else to use it on, at that point it kind of would be. If you could do 10 into 10,000. I mean 10 into 1,000. Actually, would 10 into 1,000 be worth it? It's 100 souls per diamond. I don't know. What is that in a mythic? That would be 400,000 souls. I don't know, that still doesn't seem worth it. Like, if you could have a mythic or 400,000 souls, the mythic still seems better. Now, 4 million souls are a mythic. Now, that's questionable on which one is worth it. If it was actually 10,000. But yeah, even at 1,000, I don't think it would be worth it. And it's not even anywhere near that. Yeah, we have enough diamonds to craft 26 mythics, if I'm not mistaken. Either 25 or 26. We just keep getting them all instantly, so I've never had a need to use any of them. And they're very likely to never add another way to use diamonds, just because they already have 2 main ways to use diamonds. Weapons and mythics. However, there becomes an issue where you own every mythic as well as every weapon, where diamonds become useless. And converting them into souls is horrifically bad value. You just found 6 epic Vault keys on 1 15-minute. Oh no, that's actually somewhat underwhelming. That's unfortunate. I think the lowest we've gotten this weekend was 12 within an hour. I mean, 12 within a Gnomopalooza. Oh wait, you mean epic Vault key. Never mind, that's extremely good. Sorry, I thought you said normal Vault keys. I was gonna say, that seems really low if you only got 6 normal Vault keys during a 15-minute Gnomopalooza. Because normally hits at least double digits. But no, that's epic Vault keys. That's really solid. I think the most I've ever hit is 5. Not sure if I hit 6 or higher yet. It's definitely possible to, of course, so requires luck. I think the average comes out to 2. It's like 1.5 per 2 average per Gnomopalooza, from what I've seen. Which makes sense, because you get about 20 Vault keys average, I think. So it makes sense that you would get 2 epic Vault keys, because if you get exactly at drop rate, you'd basically get 2 epic Vault keys every Gnomopalooza you do. Obviously, that's not guaranteed, but if you get exactly at drop rate, you're pretty much going to get like 18 plus Vault keys plus 2 epic Vault keys every single time you use a Gnomopalooza. Obviously, that's not guaranteed, but that's where it will average normally. Of course, it can be better, it can be worse. And that's also assuming using this team. It will obviously be a bit lower with Rowan. Still a really high number, but lower. Also, where's verse 2? We'll hand out redeem code. This first verse 2 we do. Or that we see. And then we'll probably go use another Gnomopalooza as well. So far, I think we found one of every verse except for verse 2, which is kind of funny. The one we need, and it does not want to drop. Oh, another one. So that's 4 within this, wow. When did we start? We've only been doing this for like 10 minutes and we already found 4. Yeah, anyone who's been doing this size a lot, how many have you been getting per hour approximately? Like how many, Gnomopalooza gnomes? Or, you know, how many verses do you find per hour? Not by doing, Gnomopalooza, but by doing just normal grinding. Because I keep saying it's around 8. From my data in the oh, we found it. Though it might be higher than 8. It might actually be closer to like a dozen or 2. I just underestimated it a little bit just because if people are using like Rowan build or something. But I know one of the hours I hit almost like 20. Speaking of which, I did say as soon as we get verse 2, that is verse 2. We are now back at double digits, only to go right back down again because we're about to go use this verse 2. To go do a Gnomopalooza. But yeah, I think we're going to try to keep it above 10. Or, you know, double digits. I think going forward, we're always going to keep that reserve just in case. Because you never know. Just to have some spares. So, yeah, we'll continue doing that. However, as I mentioned, as soon as we get verse 2, I will hand out code. And that is indeed a verse 2. So I'm going to go get it for you guys. One moment. It is buried underneath here. Also, I should probably go copy-paste the new codes that we end up getting. Haven't handed out any from the new batch yet, mostly because we still have about a week's worth of codes left. Because she handed it out a little bit early, given that I was away for a little over a week. So she handed it out when we already had a handful of codes remaining. It's actually kind of funny because it happened while I was gone. And I wasn't checking like Discord like barely at all while I was gone, and then I like checked it one day. It's like, oh, I got more codes, and I don't even need more codes because I'm not around. So I still haven't put them into my list yet because I wasn't around when I got them. But here you guys go. There's the redeem code used on gemsofwar.com underneath the game code section. Your invite code can be found in your settings menu. Whatever game says right over there is what you put in for your invite code. Redeem code's right over there in chat. Just copy paste random numbers and letters starting with 9UU. And it gives the same reward as always. 2 treasure maps, 1 gem key, 200 souls, and 2,500 gold. Enjoy everyone. There you guys go. And only usable on the PC mobile version of the game. Alright, now with that out of the way, let's go run another Gnomopalooza. And then we'll go grind them again. And then we'll alternate kind of back and forth. But we'll go do Gnomopalooza, grind a little bit more, get back up to that double digits and go from there. Oh, this isn't the page I want. Though don't forget, if you're still looking for it, Lord of Slaughter or Arachne Weaver, both really good crafts if you have the diamonds for it by the end of this weekend. Of course, the Gnomopalooza does give quite a bit less diamonds than it did. However, Vault Keys and Epic Vault Keys still have some really juicy diamond drops. The ones in normal Vault Keys is 60, of base of 50. And the other one... Does anyone actually remember what is an Epic Vault Key? I actually forget. Isn't it like 200 that goes to 300 or something? What's 20% of... No, that would go to 240 if it's 200. Does anyone remember what diamond drop is in Epic Vault Key? I actually forget off the top of my head. But I know the one in normal Vault Keys is a 50 that goes up to 60. However, I do off the top of my head completely forget what the one is for Epic Vault Keys. Also, I haven't really used any Epic Vault Keys yet. I've been hoarding them just because, especially with how many you can get these days. I've been hoarding them just in case there's an exclusive drop that ever gets added to Epic Vault Keys. In the current state of the game, nothing is exclusive to Epic Vault Key drop table. I believe it's a little bit higher chance that you'll get like the tarot card trips and stuff like that. However, there's nothing unique to the Epic Vault Key drop table. Like there's stuff that gives you higher quantities and stuff compared to normal Vault Keys, but there's no drop locked behind having to use Epic Vault Keys. Everything that's in the normal Vault Key drop table is obtained in the Epic Vault Key drop tables, just at lower quantities than the Epic Vault Keys. Alright, let's go take a sip of water. Now that we got our little bit of caffeine. As if my sleep schedule isn't ruined enough. It's gonna cause a crash in like a few hours probably. Alright, let's go do this. Is it worth it to do Gnome and Epic Vaults at hard level 20% for more rewards? Yes, always. Assuming you can take it out. What is the blessed class for Leaf Storm? Archer hero class. Though there are some instances where you use Warden instead. But as far as overall best, Archer hero class is the best hero class that has Green Storm on it. The main reason you would use Warden is it does have an armor gain, which can be useful for Rowan and stuff. And it does have Dispel, which if you're up against teams that have Submerge, that's not relevant for Vault events, though. Or, you know, for you doing Vault stuff. But there are some instances where that is relevant, like Delves, for example, where having a way to get rid of Submerge and Barrier is very, very ridiculously useful, particularly the Submerge part, because that one perk that is down there. But aside from that, normally Archer is the best Green Storm hero class in most situations. Like 95% of situations, you're probably going to be using Archer. So if you were to get any of them, that would definitely be the way to go. Oh, interesting. Time actually goes by while you're on that screen. I did not know that. Because we could tell because it was already down by a couple seconds there. So the timer for Gnomopalooza actually starts the second where it shows you the Gnomopalooza thing triggering. I thought it would be the second we clicked off it. However, it actually starts the second it is shown. So we just wasted a few seconds. Not like it matters much. But hey, every second is precious loot. It's not too big a deal. Because I haven't been farming much throughout the days. Because theoretically, we could be farming for like 30 hours. I feel like the average I do for normal vault events like 10 to 15 hours total. Generally speaking. But there are people that do 30 plus hours. And of course it's theoretically possible to do like 60 plus hours. If you want to have no sleep. Or nearly no sleep. Also, if you did 60 hours, you would have way over 1,000 vault keys in a weekend still. I'm pretty sure very few people do that. I'm pretty sure the average is like 20 hours or something. Or maybe even lower than that. Because I mentioned in the past that the average amount of battles a player does on a given day is around, I think it was 15 or something. It was kind of funny because whatever number they mentioned, actually I think it was 25 or something. Whatever number they mentioned, it was like almost exact to get the daily gem thingy done. I think it was like slightly under like 23 or something. But it was nearly the exact number needed to get done to daily where you have to kill 100 troops. Which kind of makes sense. Because if you just do the basic dailies, like I found that out quite a bit more too while I was on vacation. Especially after the 2 of them. But if you just do basic dailies, that does pretty much come out to the number that they mentioned. Like if you just do the useful adventure board, dungeons, and then like a few other things real quick, that is basically like 20 to 30 battles. And pretty much the exact number to go get done the daily thingy for the 20 gem thing. Which is pretty nice because the basic dailies for the game takes technically about like 5 minutes. Like 5 to 10 minutes. It's a really quick daily system. Obviously, there's a lot of things that you could be doing if you want to take more time. Like you could add arena and that adds like an extra 30 minutes if you want 3 extra rolls on that, though it's not really that required. There's the entirety of the underworld, which generally you should be doing. The main reason I don't is because we already finished the entirety in the underworld. So there's not really much of a need to. And every loot that you get from the chests or stuff we don't really need. It's mostly just chaos shards and ingots. And we have more ingots than we could ever hope to use. And due to the previous Gnomopalooza, not this one, but we basically have infinite chaos shards now too. We do still get chaos shards from doing Gnomopaloozas. However, the rate obviously is way lower than it was before. Substantially lower. Because I think we went up like tens of thousands of those resource. And now we don't really get as many. Like this guy's probably going to give us like, what, 5? If I could see real quick. We end up getting 8. Or, sorry, 9. I guess that's a little bit better. I have no clue what drop that was, though. That could have been one of his bigger drops. Kind of hard to tell. I'm kind of curious. How much does Glory Gnomes give? I haven't even been paying too much attention. 182, 182, 91. Interesting. I assume none of those were the 1,000 drop. Actually, those would have to have been the 1,000 drop then. Because it was exactly half. So those were 2 1,000s and a 500. Oh, that's kind of sad. What would have originally been 2,500 glory right there was only like 300 glory. Or 350. But yeah, that's a pretty substantial nerf. However, the Volkies have not been nerfed. So that's nice. This is side resources. Yeah, originally that was a 2,500. I got knocked down to like 350. Which is like, what, 12%? Compared to 100%. Oh yeah, Puzzle Quest 3's daily system is so ridiculously long. I've actually haven't even been fully completing it a lot of days recently. It just takes too long. I have no clue what they are thinking with a lot of stuff they've been doing recently. For Gems of War and that game. Very crazy design choices. But hopefully we'll get a patch in Puzzle Quest 3 soon that will fix it. Because gosh, does that game need it. The weirdest thing about Puzzle Quest 3 is it's in a worse state than when the beta started. Which I guess kind of makes sense for some games in beta. They kind of go all over the place. Speaking of which, as far as upcoming games that we're going to be playing, I actually didn't even notice it until a couple days ago. But Darkest Dungeon 2... Actually, did I mention it before I went? I can't remember. Because more info came out on it recently. I can't remember if I already knew about it earlier. Can't remember. But Darkest Dungeon 2 is actually slated, the beta for it though, not the actual release, is slated to come out season 1, quarter 3. And if I'm not mistaken, doesn't quarter 3 end in the end of next month? Which means within the next month, we'll be playing Darkest Dungeon 2. It is going to be releasing only with Act 1. They're actually going to be doing it somewhat similar to, as far as games that we've played that are kind of similar to it. Slay the Spire. It is going to kind of be like Slay the Spire in the sense that it's going to be like act-based. And when the beta starts, it's only going to have Act 1. And they're going to make 5 acts. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be a secret 6 acts. So that hasn't been confirmed yet, but it seems pretty likely. They're probably going to pull a Slay the Spire, where it's like, oh, it's 3 acts, and then it's like, oh, nope, there's an extra one. So it's probably going to be 5 with like an extra one. It's going to be more like how you'd play like it definitely seems like it's going to be more like how you play Binding of Isaac, or like a you know, almost like more like roguelike, because that was probably one of the bigger complaints that the game got. Well, not necessarily complaints, but it was a really roguelite like game in that even though it was a kind of within the roguelike genre, it had a system to it where like a single run would take like several hours. Whereas this seems like it's going to be a lot more concentrated, where it's going to be like about 1 hour per act, and then in total it'll probably take about 5 hours or so. And obviously that time will probably get a lot lower once you get better at the game. But like the first run might end up taking that long. So it's a lot shorter of an experience compared to normally, which would give it that kind of more replay value as far as, you know, doing multiple runs. So a little bit of a different format. Oh no, the Mythic one lived. That'll be interesting to see how it comes out. I've really liked Darkest Dungeon a lot. And for any of you that have seen gameplay or us playing it, we might even stream it again at some point soon. But before they do the launch of it. But it actually plays somewhat similar to Gems of War, oddly enough. Not without the gem aspect, but the actual gameplay. Because it's a 4 versus 4. And a lot of the moves that you kind of do, well, not a lot of them, but you know, it has quite an overlap as far as like how you synergize your teams and everything to end up fighting out battles. So I always kind of really like that aspect of it. It's kind of like Gems of War without the board and a lot more luck. And a lot less characters. I think Darkest Dungeon 2 is releasing with 12, maybe less, 9? I can't remember the number. And it wasn't too high. Definitely not 1,000. But obviously it needs to be more balanced. Yes, a lot of heart attacks. Oh, that's a pet that I need. Hold up. Once we finish out this Gnomopalooza, we need to go do that pet. I'm pretty sure that's one I don't have max. Is faster just to retreat from the Mythic boss battle? It's only doesn't get one-shotted if the Soul Gnome gets replaced. Or if the Soul Gnome replaces the Mythic. If any other Gnome replaces the Mythic, it will still die to this team. Only specifically a Soul Gnome will survive it. Also, it's funny that we get a tentacle as we're talking about Darkest Dungeon. Also, I've been looking at other upcoming games that are coming out. Amazon's actually doing an MMO soon. I think it's called New World. I probably will not be playing it, though. So far, every Amazon thing they've ever tried to do game-wise has completely flopped. It's very ridiculously hard. Like, it normally has a lot of publicity up front just because they're Amazon. That's just, like, such a big name. But, yeah, they have yet to really succeed at doing anything. It is pretty funny how badly every single gaming endeavor they've ever done has flopped. It's about as bad as Google trying to do Stadia. It's pretty much how bad every Amazon attempt has been at doing a game. It's kind of funny that all the big tech companies just cannot get into gaming for whatever reason. They try to, and then always fail miserably. Oh, Epic Volky. Nice. So hello, Defiant. Welcome. It killed some GPUs because how it was using power. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I normally don't play anything too graphically intensive as far as games. I'm definitely more about gameplay than how the game looks. Because they could just buy the whole other company like Activision, true. And that reminds me, whatever happened to that one mobile Diablo game? Is that game still in beta? Didn't they announce it like 2 or 3 years ago? I need to get the popcorn out for how badly that's gonna fail. It got such horrifically bad publicity when it first got announced. I might give it a shot just for the sake of it, though, when it does come out. We'll probably just play it on BlueStacks if it works. I still don't have a proper way of recording phone directly. But assuming it's stable on BlueStacks, we'll probably just play it on BlueStacks. At least give it a shot on its launch day or launch time. Because it's been in beta so long, it should be released finished, I would assume. It's been a while since I played a Diablo game. I haven't played since Diablo 2. And by when Diablo 2, I mean like when it released. That is how long it has been. Your guild expects you to do the World Lore event, even though it's completed. Yeah, I'm currently at 0. Hopefully my guild doesn't kick me. I'm the leader, so it's impossible. Luckily. Have I ever played Hades? No, I have not. I haven't actually played any of the mobility-based roguelikes. So like Dead Cells I haven't played, Hades I haven't played. I think the main thing that put me off to it was the Binding of Isaac. I did not care for the Binding of Isaac personally. Any of the movement-based roguelikes like that, I've never personally cared for that much. I'd much prefer the turn-based one like Darkest Dungeon and Slay the Spire and other similar things. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's go see what loot we got. So, we started with 67. We are now at 70, which means we're at 103. Nice. Let's see, 103. If I had to guess pity, we're at 25. And it's either 25 or 26. And epic Valky should be 8. We started at 118. It is now 8. Oh, so that one we saw was the only one we actually got. So that makes sense. And an 8. Let's see, let's double check our pity to make sure the number is correct. It's either 25 or 26. It can't be anything else. 25. I did guess correctly. Nice. Okay. Well, let's go farm again. We now need another verse 2. Let's go find another verse 2 or 2. And then we'll probably pop one more Gnomopalooza. Yeah, let's go find it. Back to the Blackhawk. Oh yeah, don't forget the pet. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, I do need to go get that. Though we still have plenty of time. We have like, what, 50 minutes still? 45? Let's see. Tentacle. We have 52 minutes. Oh gosh, we still have a lot. Alright, let's go grab Phoenicia. Oh, I don't have a metal set correctly though right now. Now we do. Alright, let's go take the tentacle. How many keys did you take for you to get the mythic last week? Oh, good question. I want to say 700. I know it was less than 1,000. 700 sounds correct. I wasn't keeping track exactly. But it seemed like it was around 700. Give or take 100. I know it was less than 1,000 around that area. But yeah, of course I did it off video. Since I wasn't around at the time. But yeah, overall above average luck. Which is nice. That's why our gem stack is like probably like 2,000 or 3,000 right now. Which is closer to 3,000? It might be. Oh, it is, yeah. Yeah, we have broke 3,000. Actually, we might have done that this weekend. No, maybe not. I don't think we could have possibly gotten that many gem keys. Because they nerfed it, so whenever we get a 4 gem key drop, it's just a 1 gem key drop now. Because of the reduced number. So we're not going to get too many gem keys from Gnomopaloozas themselves. When we open Vault keys, we do. Because those still give the same 24 whenever we get the drop. However, with the 20% bonus. Or, you know, it's 20 base, 24 with the 20%. Those are still the same, but obviously the ones we get from the Gnomopalooza themselves, quite a bit lower. Because the only time you ever get a gem key drop is when the normal gnome drops 1 or 4 gem keys. And now both of those 2 drops are the exact same 1 gem key drop. So even if you get 4, you still only get 1. And if you get 1, you just get 1. Luckily that's unchanged. I still find that kind of funny with how the loot is reduced on it. Because all the things that are 1 are still 1. So even though all these other things are reduced drastically, all the other ones are still giving like absurd amounts. $250 gem key openings? Nice. Yeah, I do advise open them 50 at a time. Just so you don't use this many gem keys up. Even while I was on vacation, I was still doing it 50 at a time instead of rushing it with 200. You just save more gem keys. Like, if I didn't do that, and it took me about 700, it would have taken me 800 otherwise. So I basically saved 100 gem keys or so. Assuming it did take about 700, which I'm pretty sure it did. I wasn't keeping track exact, but it seemed like where it was at. That is so tempting, I have to go for it. Just giving me that perfect alignment, I can't pass it up. All that just to kill with 1. It's always funny when an AoE just gets that last little poke. Ah, there we go. Oh, did I even need more tentacles? Oh, yeah. Do we need more tentacles? That was literally the first one we've ever seen since the first time it came out. Blackhawk bonus. Is that even that good of a bonus? I don't think so. Blackhawk doesn't really have much synergy with itself. It has like a little bit of rogue synergy. And if I'm not mistaken, that's where Captain McCall is. So at some point, it might have some good synergy. However, in the current state of the game, pure Blackhawk is not that good. Though eventually there's going to be a really good Captain McCall synergy team for this place. Probably using like him, Deckhand, something else maybe. But in the current state of the game, it does not have a particularly good pure rogue team. However, it definitely has potential at some point to have a really good pure rogue team. Hopefully by that point that pet will be maxed, or at least higher than it currently is. Anyways, let's go keep hunting for Gnomopalooza gnomes. Gotta at least find a verse 2. Hopefully 2 verse 2s. And then we'll go run another Gnomopalooza. We'll keep going until we find 1 or 2 more verse 2s. And then we'll go do 1 more Gnomopalooza. Oh, we gotta find it first. What do you think the sweet spots for doing Gnomopalooza? You're at 210 gnomes per pity key. It doesn't seem worth it anymore. Wait, what are you asking? Oh, I see what you mean now. How many Gnomopaloozas should you do? As far as diminishing return, yeah, I'd probably say when the number's about 200. If you're at pity key 200 or so, which is like, what, 40 or so? By 50, it's definitely like you're getting to a point where the return on it's like almost giving you no pity. Like it's giving you like 1 or 2 pity each time. But yeah, I would say about 200 is when you really stop getting returns. Like once it starts giving you only 1 pity key per Gnomopalooza is when you really have gone too far. Unless you just really, really want to power grind it. But if you want to spread your verses out a little bit more, probably about 200, which is like, what, 40 pity? Or somewhere around there? 40, 50 pity. Because at that point, you start getting quite a bit of diminishing return on pity. The first few give like an absurd amount. Like the very first one you do gives like 9, the next one like 5, 6, 7 or something. And even right now, we're still hitting like 2 or 3 per pity key. So when they, or per Gnomopalooza. So when they start hitting only like 1 per is when it's still good, obviously, but quite a bit less return. It really depends how many verses and how much time you're spending to farm. Because obviously, if you're just going to farm a bunch, then you don't really need to worry about stopping at a specific location. But if you're farming for a really specific amount, you'd kind of have to kind of gauge that based on how much you do farm, on where the right spot is. But I would say 40 pity keys is probably how far you would go if you're playing for 10 hours. Is about how far you'd want to go. If you do 10 hours over the course of a Vault weekends, I'm pretty sure 40 pity is where you'd want to go to. Also, where all was the verse 2s? We've literally just like got like a whole nother full set. And no verse 2. We're about to gain a level 2. Oh, good to get that done now as well. Actually, even if we find a verse 2, we're going to keep going until we hit that level at least. Whichever one happens later. Because we definitely have to hit that level before we do it, even if we find a gnome. Or find verse 2, I mean. And obviously if we haven't found verse 2 yet, we still need to go find the verse 2. Because at this point I do want to keep it around 10 going forward. But first we need to actually find it. But yeah, one nice thing about the Gnomopalooza, even though they've done like so many weird things with it, as far as rebalancing it and all that, what we're doing right now is completely untouched and unnerfed. Like this exact farming method that we're doing right now. None of the nerfs that they have done have at all affected what we're doing right now. The rate of scrolls has not been touched for this, or, you know, getting verses. and the rate of all the gnomes and the loot that they give have not been touched. Literally every aspect of the way that we are farming right now has never been touched by either of the 2 nerfs they've done so far. Both the 2 nerfs only specifically affect the Gnomopalooza being active. Another not verse 2. Since we did the previous one, we've already gotten 4 verse scrolls, and not a single one has been verse 2. I'm pretty sure we got 2 verse 1s and 1 or 2 verse 4s or something. Because I don't think we got the guitar guy, who is verse 3, I think. And we haven't gotten Savage Lips, which is verse 2. What's the 8? Oh, hey, we did get Savage Lips. We still need to go get that level now, though. Nice. Hopefully find another one. What does the 8 mean? The first number is how many Vault Keys we found. The second number is how many Pity Keys we found. And the third number is how many Epic Vault Keys we found. I don't have the words there, otherwise it would take too much room. But that's the number we always keep track of every Vault event. It's kind of been tradition over the last year or so. Maybe even longer than that. We used to always keep track. Feels nice seeing those numbers. For the longest time, we were happy if we got like a dozen. Now it's like if we don't hit at least like 200, we did something wrong. Definitely at least 100, that's for sure. How long does it take to get 100? If you had 0 Gnomopaloozas, it would take about 3 hours to hit 100, I believe, from 0 Gnomopaloozas. Two hours to farm the scrolls and then using them. But yeah, it would come out to about 3 hours. Give or take a little bit, probably even a little bit under. Though it depends on luck or lack thereof of actually getting a full set. Because to hit 100, you would have to do 4 Gnomopaloozas. Plus the Vault Keys you got along the way of trying to get them. Possibly a 5th one. But yeah, it would take about 3 hours, I believe. From 0 Gnomopaloozas to hit 100. It really just comes down to how the rolls go on finding them. No. Because you find Vault Keys while you're still doing the normal grinding as well. But no, it'd probably be 5 Gnomopaloozas. They average around like 15 to 25 or so. Like around there. Like, the average one, I think, has about 20. But, you know, some of those are Epic Vault Keys. Oh, yeah, if you're using Rowain build, numbers might be a bit different. I did the math earlier. I believe it was around 5 hours if you're using Rowain. So the timing for it's a bit different. Yeah, normally when I do numbers, I'm basing off of double Ironhawk. But yeah, if you're doing Rowain, it takes about 5 hours to get 100 Vault Keys. I mean, to get 100 Vault Keys. Because you have to farm about 5 verses. Or maybe even 6 if you're doing Rowain build. And that would take about 5 hours, plus the time to actually use them. But it's closer to a little over 3 if you do it with this team. I'll do a few more. We got our level up, so we can technically go do a Gnomopalooza at any point now. Do be careful if you're close to a level up. You generally want to make sure to do the level up before you do a Gnomopalooza, just so it doesn't waste time during Gnomopalooza. I mentioned that the first time during the video thingy too. But those are 2 things you generally want to check for before you open a Gnomopalooza, especially now that they're slightly more limited. Not like exceedingly so, but you know, more than they were before. But you want to make sure 2 things. One is you have the correct team set, so you don't have to waste several seconds changing it. So make sure whatever team you're going to use, Rowain, Dust Devil, or you know, the Ironhawk build, make sure it's already set and ready to go. make sure the location you're actually doing it on is set to Explore 1. And make sure you're not close to getting a level. And if you are, maybe just go try doing, trying to find some scrolls, some verses, and then get your level, and then go and actually do the Gnomopalooza. Because getting a level up or having to change your team basically wastes like one full battle worth of time. And that could have been a Volky. So you normally want to make sure to get those out of the way before you do the Gnomopalooza itself. I found another one. It's not verse 2, but... Alright, let's go get our last verse here. And let's go run another one. Those are just the pity keys for... Oh, no, hey, we did actually have some. There was a level up reward, though. Alright, let's go run another Gnomopalooza. This will probably be the last one we run for this stream. But I might still do a little bit more gnome farming just to get back set to 10. So that going into next stream will be set to a nice 10. And ready to go. Let's go run another. Actually, before I do, let me take a sip of water. Stay hydrated. Good old water break. Okay. We're all good? Gotta prepare for that Gnomopalooza. They're slightly more precious now. Defiant, what was your question? Could you repost it? I can't really scroll. It's not within visible sights. Did you say keep myth stones near 0 when starting? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Oh yeah, that too. However, I personally find the amount of time that you would need to do to really bother resetting it is not really that worth it. But yeah, that's another thing that you can end up doing. Keep your myth stones near 0 so that it doesn't trigger the mythic thing. However, if you're running this team, it doesn't really matter too much. Or actually, even with Romaine build, it matters even less. But, I don't know. It's normally not too big a deal. Because even if you do the mythic battle, the chance that a Soul Gnome specifically replaces the mythic is not particularly high. Like, this entire stream, it has happened once total. Actually, this entire Gnomopalooza of all event for me, this entire weekend, has only happened to me one time. This stream. It's very rare. And while it does waste time, it's such a minute amount of time that it doesn't matter too much. It's because you have to go out of your way a lot to reset it. It's normally just better to just ignore it even exists. I did mention that initially, but I don't know, that factor is definitely less relevant. You have a request for 2 videos. All of the Delve teams combined in one video. Yeah, I've been meaning to do that. I was kind of been waiting until all the Delves have their thing. And if I'm not mistaken, isn't that in a couple weeks? We have like 31 Delves right now. Or actually, that would be longer than a couple weeks. But we're getting to the point where we almost have every Delve in the game, unless they're going to be adding more. And at that point, I definitely want to cover a video on all Delves. Before then, I also want to cover a video on all class tier list. Oh, that's even what you mentioned right there for number 2. Yep, I have both of them planned. Tier list 1, I need to do at some point. That one I could do at any point. The other one, I do want to wait until all Delves exist within the game. I believe we're at 31 right now. By the end of this year, we'll have all of them. Okay, yeah, it is 31. So yeah, we have 3 left. But yeah, once every Delve exists in the game, we will be doing a video for the Pure Faction team for every Delve, as well as breaking down every color combination and a team that could be used for it. Obviously, factions that have overlapping colors, you could just use the exact same thing. Ooh, Epic Volky. So that one we won't necessarily need 34 teams for. That one I think comes down to 18, I think. It depends how many unique color combinations there are. I do not recall the total. Also, theoretically, some can use the same ones as well. Like every single blue, every single faction that even uses blue can use the exact same team. And some other things like that. But yeah, I do have those planned. I'm just waiting for all factions for that one. The class one I've just been putting off. I need to do it at some point. Originally, I was putting it off because it seemed like they were going to do a class rework. Oh, another Epic Volky. Did we just get 2 Epic Volkies in a row? Nice. Previous battle, this battle. But, yeah, it seemed like at one point they were going to do a class rework, and then they never did the class rework. I was kind of waiting for it, and then it never happened. Am I using mouse, keyboard, plus macros? No, I don't currently use macros. You have to be really careful with in this game because it can be bannable depending on how it's set up. It's more consistent just to do controller. Because if you do macros, it can end up getting... there's some instances of it that can get banned within the game. So you generally want to avoid doing that. But using controller for it ends up working out pretty well. This event, I haven't actually been using controller at all. I've just been manually clicking everywhere. It is slightly quicker with controller. I just really haven't been bothering this time around. But yeah, doing it with controller is a little bit quicker than what we're doing right now. Actually, doing it on console in general is a bit quicker as well. Just because there isn't as many issues with controller on them. Also, really big touch screens are also pretty quick if you have like a big tablet or if you're playing on Switch. There's a lot of ways you can click very quickly on it. There actually is an issue with doing button only on PC. And it's one of the menus where you change the difficulty. It does not allow you to do controller input on it. You have to do mouse input. Which is really annoying because it makes it so you can't do controller only. On console, you can. But in the Steam version, you can't. Unless there's a workaround to it that I'm not aware of. Another Epic Volkey. Wow, we've gotten 3 Epic Volkeys this set. 2 in a row. Another one right there. Well, pretty good for our last Gnomopalooza of the stream. That is for sure. Does your team strength affect a nerf strength? Or just how fast you win? Both. Whatever one is lower, it takes that %. And generally, the lower one's going to be the team score. So now having a high team score literally punishes you for how much loot you get. Because I believe that's the one that's actually the higher %. Is your, or sorry, the lower % is the team score based one. Because the team score of what we're fighting, even though it's not displayed, I'm pretty sure it's under 1,000. But our team score is like 15,000 something. And the higher that is, the less loot we get. So they literally added a mechanic that the later you are in the game, the less loot you get from doing these events. Which obviously makes no sense at all, that aspect of it. Which I'm pretty sure is some amount of the complaints that people have. I haven't been reading all of them. But you literally get punished more if you're later in the game. Because if we were doing an early game version of this, where the Ironhawks were fully traded, but let's say our Dust Devil was like epic and our Sister Superior was... Well, then again, your Sister Superior would probably be max too. But let's say we just had a lot of less stats. Because we don't have a lot of kingdom upgrades and our team score is like 10,000. We'd be getting more loot from that than we would be with our higher team score. Even though the team isn't any stronger. Like your team score could be 9,000 with this team and you'd still have the exact same strength as if it was 15,000 like what we have right now. But we get less loot because the team score is higher even though its strength isn't any higher. And the reason why the time isn't lower, even though we're theoretically winning in like a few seconds, every single second from when the server sends you that you're in the game counts, which if I'm not mistaken is every second from the second you click the fight button, which means the entirety of the loading screen, as well as all the traits triggering. So even though we're winning so quickly, that's actually the smaller, the higher % of the two. Because it gives you a % based on 50 seconds. And counting the entire cycle, it's about 10 seconds. Actually, it might be a little bit lower than 10 seconds. Let's say it's 8 seconds. Oh, no, I don't know. 10 is easier to kind of calculate out. Let's say it's 5. Though it's higher than 5. But let's say it's as low as 5. That is a 10%. However, the team score that we're up against is like 1,000 compared to our 15,000, which is like, what, 8% or something? Which means our team score is the lower one. Meaning that us having higher stats is literally giving us less loots. Meaning that we're getting punished for having high stats, even though the team isn't any stronger from having those higher stats. Which is one thing that doesn't make like any sense with how they rescaled it. No, that means we should only be getting about 8% of the total loot. Though in some instances, it seems like we're getting slightly more than that. I don't know. It's calculated weirdly. We're definitely getting less than like 20%, that is for sure. Without a doubt. A nice Bill Warhammer. Oh, I don't think it's showing currently. Oh no. I can't fix it. 1 second. There we go. I wasn't showing because YouTube thought you were a bot because it's a bunch of random numbers in there. Yeah, so that means we'll probably have about 16 different colors because I'm pretty sure one of the new factions will be a different color then. Even if you do level 12 Explorer, you're still going to get punished? Yes. Which is another complaint that people had. Because even if you do the highest Explorer in the game, you don't even get the max amount of loot. Which makes doing the highest Explorer in the game completely pointless. Like, the meta for doing these events hasn't changed. Even though they drastically nerfed the loot that you get on Explore 1. But they also nerfed the loot that you get on Explore 12. Which doesn't make much sense at all. I'm not sure what the team score is for Explore 12. But I'm pretty sure it's like 10,000. And pretty much anyone in endgame or even late game in the current state of the game of Gems of War is way above 10,000. Like late game people are probably around like 11 to 13,000. And end game is like over 15,000. Also, one other thing that affects your team score too is hero level. Just having a higher level hero just ever so slightly increases your team score. Basically making every mechanic related to it, punishing people who are more progressed in the game. Which doesn't make much sense. They definitely did it in a really weird way. Like, I don't mind that they specifically nerfed those resources specifically. But the way that they implement it is just kind of weird. There's a lot of aspects of it just don't make sense. Yeah, they're probably eventually going to nerf the amount of keys we get. That's going to be extremely controversial if they do. Oh, an Epic Vault key. That's for this Gnomopalooza. But hopefully they're just done nerfing it and they're going to be like, okay, we're just going to leave it like this. We've angered people enough. They figured they'd done it enough times, they might as well do it again. However, if they nerf it a third time, there better not be any more nerfs beyond that. If they actually do a third nerf. That better be like the definitive, final, official, there will never be another nerf to it ever again nerf. It's the best, worst thing that's ever happened to the game. I don't understand how they messed up Gnomopalooza so much. Especially since it got beta tested. Like, what even happened during the beta test? I haven't been in it for ages. But what happened in the most recent beta test that they were this clueless? Because they did indeed beta test it. It's not like this was just something that they just shoved out. Like, it went through a beta test. I'm not sure what kind of internal testing they have, which seems like none. But they have that, supposedly. They had the beta test. Like, there's so many checks that could have happened. And they still released it, like, absurdly broken. Plus, they even had the stream of it, too. Where it was very obvious that you could infinite it. No. Even if you end up doing a full 50-second delay, whatever percent is lower is the one that it goes by. So if you have a team score difference of, let's say, 70%, because your team score is like 14,000 and theirs is like 10,000, or whatever the percent difference is on that. I think that's around 70, isn't it? Somewhere's around there. But if they have 10,000 team score and you have 14,000, even if you waited the full 50 seconds, you'd still only get 70% of the loot. Doesn't matter how much you wait at that point. Alright, we got 27 pity. Okay. Oh, true. We got so many epic Volkies, gosh. We got 4. Not the highest we've gotten yet, but a really high amount. 4 in a single one. I said 27, right? I assume that's correct. And we started at 67, and we currently have 87, which means we have 120. Which means we found 17. Wrong number. Okay, there we go. And before we end out, to finish things out, let's go hunt for one more scroll too. So to keep up with our 10 base, let's go hunt until we find verse 2. And we'll probably end the stream on that then. And then tomorrow night we'll run a bunch more Gnomopalooza, as well as hunt for more verse 2s apparently, since it does not want to drop for us. And that's the main thing bottlenecking us from having more Gnomopaloozas. Is basically every verse 2 now is a Gnomopalooza for us. Kind of like how verse 4 was before. 4 before. But if anyone has any other questions that you want me to go over, do let me know. We'll basically keep going until we find verse 2. Come on, 1,000 glory. Show us what those juicy glory drops look like. 500 is still nice. Feels so weird seeing such small numbers from it. But nice to see the full number again. Oh, we found a verse already. Not the verse we're looking for, but a verse nonetheless. They're still valuable, that's for sure. It's still one of the 4 pieces to craft a Gnomopalooza. The only issue is everything that's not verse 2 does not actually get us closer. In the future, it technically does get us closer. But in the current state of time, it does not actually get us any closer to crafting another one. Maybe that's where they got the 50-second from. Is how long they take to get a battle done. That's funny. I think they were even slower than a minute, weren't they? During that stream. Yet they still basically infinited the Gnomopalooza, which was funny. Even with the low rate that they were doing. Or the slow rate. Jewel Gnomes have a weird glitch currently where they actually are not nerfed. You get the full loot from Jewel Gnomes in the current state of the game. Actually, their diamonds are nerfed, but their jewel number is not nerfed. They normally give either 10 jewels or 10 diamonds or very, very rare for a 50, I believe it was. I think they might have a 20. I can't remember. I know they have a 10. Drolls drop in 20s. However, the droll drops actually have not been nerfed yet. They forgot to adjust the number. So you get the full 20 even, regardless of what your percent is during a Gnomopalooza. So you still get the full amount in the current state of the game. Come on, verse 2, where you at? Shouldn't take too long. Hey, we got a event key from that. We have no way of knowing if it's a multi-event key though. Is it better to craft a Weaver or save for Ironhawk later? I'd probably say it's still best to invest in double Ironhawk. The problem is double Ironhawk, because single Ironhawk doesn't get it done for Gnomopalooza. It does get it done for verse farming. You can do a 1 Ironhawk build that's still just as quick as this build. However, it is required to have double Ironhawk to do the super efficient Gnomopalooza build. Which means if you're doing it with diamonds, that's 8,000 diamonds. Though by the time it rolls back around again, you might have that many diamonds. But it does specifically require 2 of them, not 1. For verse farming, it only requires 1. But for Gnomopalooza, it does require 2. Because the 1 build doesn't have enough damage to get the initial kills. One Ironhawk is 2 clicks. It's the same as this. The difference is you use Slayer hero class instead of a second Ironhawk. The problem with this is if you do a Gnomopalooza, they have enough durability due to Soul Gnome that they will not die. But if you do it in Cinder Mirage or Blackhawk or Wild Plains, they end up dying quick enough that you can get away with it. However, you cannot do a 1 Ironhawk for Gnomopalooza due to the higher durability on Soul Gnomes, preventing you from doing so. Some battles you might be able to, but it doesn't consistently allow you to do it. Whereas you can consistently do it with 1 if you're doing specifically verse farming, which is what we're doing right now. Like this exact thing that we're doing right now can be done with only 1 Ironhawk, but a Gnomopalooza cannot be done with 1 Ironhawk. Yeah, you need a Slayer for bleed. You don't even need anything else on it. You just need it to be fully traded. So even if you have level 1 or, you know, just then unlock Slayer, you will have access to it as long as you have it fully traded. It does not require any, any leveling on it, because you just need the final trait for the bleed. Is Sisters better than Greed? It's ever so slightly quicker, though Greed gives you more gold. Gosh, we're getting so many verses. Not a single one is verse 2, though. We've gone like 4 or 5 verses since we started farming again real quick. And it just does not want to give us verse 2. You're back up to 20 Paloozas? Nice. Yeah, one of the strategies too, even though we've kind of just been farming them one at a time right now, is just farm Paloozas for like an hour or a couple hours straight and then open a bunch of Gnomopaloozas. That's the other strategy for doing this event, of course. The way we've currently been doing is we've been going back and forth. Where we farm for 1 Gnomopalooza, then we use 1 Gnomopalooza, and then farm for 1, use 1, and going back and forth. I figured that'd be a bit more interesting for a stream. But of course the other strategy is you basically just play it like a normal Vault event before Gnomopalooza ever existed. Do that for an hour or a couple hours, and then use all your Gnomopaloozas. And then do it that way. One other strategy too, if they would ever stop nerfing the Gnomopaloozas, though you might not want to do that until they officially have stopped nerfing it completely. But one other strategy would be to literally just spend 1 entire Vault event weekend farming Gnomopaloozas, and then the following Vault event weekend you use a bunch. You'd still want to make sure you use some amount for that initial one so that you optimize the pity keys. But you can kind of spread it out that way if you wanted to. But you do want to make sure you always spread it out in order to optimize how many pity keys you get. Because of course they have diminishing returns. The more you use, the less pity you get for the extra little bit of keys. So you want to make sure every event you at least store several, which is why I want to keep a reserve of 10. You want to keep at least some amount of reserve just because the amount of pity you end up getting from the initial few. The first 5 you use are insanely good value on pity, particularly the first 3. The first 3 alone give you like, what, 20 pity or something? Something pretty high. Maybe not 20, like somewhere around like 15 to 18 or so. Verse farming is good in any location where it can be one-shotted. Blackhawk, Wild Plains, and Cinemirage just happen to be the lowest 3 durabilities that work really well that don't have any annoying mechanics. There are a few other locations too if you're using this specific build. Though if you're using the 1 Ironhawk build, you definitely want to stay to those 3 because they're lower durability. The main reason we do it in Blackhawk is one of the 2 mythics, I believe, can actually be one-shotted by Dust Devil. Which doesn't really save too much time, but it can ever so occasionally save a very small amount of time. How certain are you that they'll nerf it for a 3rd time? I don't think they will, personally. But there's definitely a possibility they do. But I think at this point, just to not have more backlash, you're just going to leave it as is. You just accept that the current amount of vault keys is the new economy for vault keys. And just balance the game based on that. Not by actually changing anything, but adding other things to the loot table that would make people want to use a bunch of vault keys. For example, the tarot cards kind of already do that to some degree. So maybe they're kind of banking on that. Because anyone who's playing free to play would end up getting it that way then. Does 2 Dust Devil have any advantage? No. The big issue with double Dust Devil is you have to end your turn. Dust Devil does not have automatic extra turn like Sister Superior or Greed. So when you cast Dust Devil, it ends its turn, which means the enemy gets a turn, which means it wastes a lot of time. Should you save for a second set of 8 power orbs for a new mythic? Or use it to get an Enraged Carindera? Oh, I would save. Don't get an Enraged Carindera yet. In case we get another boss troop that costs 8 power, I would advise not getting Enraged Carindera. If you eventually have enough where you can craft Enraged Carindera and still have 8 power orbs left, at that point you could probably get Enraged Carindera. But until then, almost any boss troop that ever comes into the game will be better than Enraged Carindera. It just is so bad. It's not one of the worst mythics in the game, but there's already a better version of it, just normal Carindera. Making Enraged Carindera pretty pointless for anything other than Kingdom upgrades. Though it is theoretically slightly better than Xenos. At least in the sense that, well, for one it has Curse. But the other one being that it actually is associated to a kingdom. So you do get 1 star, extra star for Askea from having it. But overall, it is very low priority to get Enraged Carindera. Obviously, Zugoff, way better option. And is definitely the first thing you should be crafting with your 8 power orbs once you have it. As far as your next set, I would just save. However, it does look like a lot of boss troops are going to start not costing 8 power orbs, so it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. Maybe they saw so few people went for Enraged Carindera, and they kind of adjusted accordingly. Because the 2 boss troops we got at the end of the previous season costed less than 8 power orbs. Alright, we got a side issue here. The mythic's being a mythic. There we go. You're taking your advice, and since your Paloozas now only drop on 1 pity, you're going back to... oh, okay, I see. Well, depending on how much you farm, you'd kind of ignore that. If you farm enough on a given weekend, you would kind of just use them eventually. But because eventually if you keep doing that, you're just going to have like such a reserve of Gnomopaloozas that you're just going to have to use them anyways. You just kind of have to gauge how much you farm. Like, it's going to be different for every single person, like how much pity you stop at. And you'd kind of have to gauge that after a couple events if you consistently do the same amount of time every single time. Like, for me personally, I'm pretty sure we're almost never going to go beyond 40 pity. Because how much I normally farm a vault event, we'd have quite a bit of diminishing returns after that point. So 40 pity is generally going to be our stopping point personally. But it really depends on how much you farm on a given weekend as to where you would want to stop. Basically, you'd want to stop at a point where you can evenly distribute it across most events. So if you feel like there's an event that you don't have as much time for, you have the spares that you can throw them down. In case there's ever a weekend where you don't have as much time, but you still have a few hours to throw like Gnomopalooza the whole time and not have to worry about it. Basically, you want to make sure you always have enough Gnomopalooza as spares so that if you don't have time on a given weekend to farm, you can throw down all the Gnomopaloozas and still hit the normal mark that you would get. And for us, that's approximately like a dozen Gnomopaloozas. So if there was a weekend where I couldn't really farm much, but I still had like 3 hours over the course of that weekend, I could end up throwing down the every single Gnomopalooza we have, and then I'd still get the same loot as if I was playing the full amount of time I would normally play. But it's different for every single person. It really just depends how much you farm normally. And the more you farm on a given weekend, the more you probably want to keep as reserve. Just for the weekends where you won't be able to farm as much. How many Gnomopaloozas is that? Oh, for the 41 pities? 41 pities should be about 12 to 15 Gnomopaloozas. Is Zugaf worth it? Yes. He is extremely worth it. He's tied at the most expensive troop in the entire game. However, he is actually worth that cost. And now with these vault events, it's easier than ever to get them. It used to take like a year to get them. Now, if you power farm 2 vault events, you can literally just have them. If you like just exceedingly farm 2 vault events. It's pretty nice. But yeah, basically went from a year to like a few months to get a Zugaf. Assuming you power farm vault events a lot when they come around. And even if not, it definitely was reduced at least to a half a year now instead of a full year to get a Gnomopalooza. Also, what am I doing? I mean, to get a Zugaf. You farmed 4 orbs of power so far, and hoping to do another couple tomorrow. Nice. But yeah, it's technically possible to do in a single vault event. I'm not sure how much time that would take. Also, would require some amount of luck, obviously. But it is theoretically possible to do in one single weekend, though somewhat unlikely, unless you already had some to begin with. But it's technically possible to get an entire Zugaf in a weekend now. Definitely within 2 or 3 vault events. And definitely within half a year or less. So it's kind of a viable strategy once you get into mid-game and definitely into late game in this game now to focus down Zugov. Before, it wasn't really that possible to really go out of your way to focus it down. But with the Gnomopalooza, it is definitely possible to now. Assuming it doesn't get nerfed again. We'll find out next Vault event. If next Vault event is not touched, I think they are officially done nerfing it. Who knows? Maybe they'll finally have an official statement too going on the forum or something. Saying like, we are done nerfing it and never will again. Though I highly doubt it. But if they do nerf it again, we definitely need a statement like that. If they do it a third time without that statement, that's problematic. But if they do a third nerf, it needs to have a statement with it like, this is definitively the final time we will ever touch these. Hopefully it'll do that before this third nerf even happens. And just leave it as is. And say they'll never touch it again, hopefully. Or at least not in the foreseeable future. Yeah, they like to always leave the door open, of course. They're probably never going to do that. If they do a third nerf, they kind of have to, though. I could see them not mentioning it if they're going to do a second nerf and waiting a while, though. Because they probably want to get data and just kind of see. But if they do a third one, they gotta let us know. Like, you can't just keep nerfing it every single Vault event forever. A couple of Vault events from now, those be completely removed from the game. No more Gnomopalooza. We retract the entire updates. Also, I just realized we haven't gotten a single verse 2, by the way. And all this farming I've been doing, we've gotten like over 8 verses. And not a single one has been verse 2. Just in the last, how long have we been doing this for? 20 minutes? 30 minutes? Since we did the previous Gnomopalooza, somewhere around there. I haven't been keeping track exactly. We've definitely gotten almost a dozen this hour. Or this, current farming amount of time. But not a single verse 2. Blue orbs have a 15% drop rate. They're not weighted evenly. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't try selling verses for cheaper this weekend. Now that they nerfed them. I think the only thing you could get was 3 vault keys for, what was it? It was like 3 vault keys and 50 gems for $2. They've done this offer quite a few times. As far as offers are concerned, this is a pretty good one. However, you could farm this so quickly in the current state of the game that it's not really as worth it these days. However, the value of it's not bad. If you're comparing it to other things that you could spend money on within the game, it's actually pretty good value among one of the better flash offers in the entire game. However, compared to just farming it manually, you're better off just farming it manually. You'd have to make, for this offer to actually be worth it, you'd basically have to be making over $20 per hour with whatever your job is, which quite a few people do. But I'm definitely not in that category, that's for sure. But for this offer to be worth it compared to just manually farming within the game, you'd have to make about $20 to $30 per hour for that to actually be worth ever getting compared to just farming it manually in the current state of the game. Oh, that's not where I want to go. Yeah, Gnomopaloozas give so much. Within a single hour, you can both farm a full Gnomopalooza and use that Gnomopalooza and have more vault keys than that. And also get an epic vault key with it. Which I think they were selling for like 20 bucks at one point, which is way overpriced. Even then it was overpriced. Before Gnomopalooza even existed, that was overpriced. And now it's really, if they ever do it again, exceedingly overpriced. Okay, we might just have to give up on trying to find this verse too. It just does not want to drop. It really does not want to drop for us. Still want to keep trying, though. Get back to those double digits. We're finding plenty of verse gnomes. We're just not finding verse 2. I wish this game actually had reasonably priced microtransactions, though. Like, in the current state of the game, a single verse should cost, like, what, less than $1? Let's say $1. Like, a full set of Gnomopalooza is probably, like, $5. And each individual one is, like, $1 or something. Like, if those were the prices, pretty sure people would buy a lot more. But they want the people who spend, like, a lot of money just to, get them. Because a lot of people, I don't think they can get enough small purchases to justify the lower price, which is why they don't do the lower price. Because a single verse definitely does not seem worth more than $1. Probably is worth even less than $1. Actually, imagine if they sold a full Gnomopalooza for $1. How many do you think they would sell if they set a 5 limit to it? I'm pretty sure that would almost make more than whatever they're currently doing. A buy limit of just like a few, but make it like super cheap. And have it like every Vault event weekend. That's one thing this company definitely doesn't quite understand, is the micro part of microtransactions. Because they have some, like, exceedingly high amount of money for a lot of transactions. Like, exceedingly high. Come on, we keep getting verses, but the wrong ones. You know what we need to do? Though I'm not sure I'm going to do it this weekend. But I might do it next Vault event weekend. I kind of want to track, especially because we'll know by then if they're going to nerf it for another time again. But I want to track how many Gnomopaloozas we can get per hour. Because at that point, we'll know for sure if they're going to do a third nerf. And if there's not a third nerf by then, we can kind of assume it probably won't happen. And that would be a good time to start taking data on it. And one thing I want to see is exactly how many scrolls we do get per hour. Well, I know the guesstimation, like it's about a dozen or so. I've never actually got the exact data on it. It's like 8 to a dozen last I recall, though it can be even higher. Like you can get as high as like 20 or something in an hour. Heavily based on luck, of course. Well, you need to figure out what the average is next Vault event. Because at that point, all the nerfs that should ever exist for it should be in place. If they even bother nerfing it again. Is there any reason to have a third Ironhawk? No. Actually, that's not true. Yes. The quickest EXP farming team in the entire game uses triple Ironhawk with Dust Devil. However, the only thing it is viable for is EXP farming. It is not viable for anything else. Actually, that's not true. EXP farming and technically verse farming. The main reason I don't use it is you have to remember to switch out of it whenever you're fight. Actually, you don't want to do it for Vault events. It would only be for EXP farming. Soul Gnome survives the hit because it's only 20 damage. An epic higher Soul Gnome survives the hit. So you wouldn't want to use it for Vault events because it's slower. And definitely not for Gnomopalooza because it doesn't do enough damage. However, if your goal is just to gain EXP for your hero, the quickest EXP rate in the entire game does utilize 3 Ironhawk. However, it is not viable for verse farming, nor is it viable for Gnomopalooza. So there's not much of a reason to have a third. However, if you're like really late in the game and you want to have a way to EXP farm, kind of like how you'd have Fairish Raw for soul farming, except that's not really relevant these days. But if you really want like a proper EXP farming team, it would be viable to have a third. But other than that, it's not really worth it. I wouldn't really advise it. 2 is more than enough. But yes, 3 is not useless. Though most people will not utilize the function of 3. I know I barely do, even though I have it. It's a very niche situation that you'd ever specifically want to EXP farm. Also specifically EXP farming while it's not a Vault event. Also another verse gnome that's not 2. Where's Savage Lips? Where's our singer? We got like a billion drummers, guitarists, and what's the other guy do again? Bass? And or electric guitar, whatever it is. But we have no singer. We have no lyrics to go with all of our instruments. We have like a whole orchestra. At this point, they're basically just an orchestra instead of a band. Very much so. We got no singer. How are we gonna make a verse without a, or a Gnomopalooza without a singer? One Ironhawk with a with Slayer hero class works for verse farming, but it does not work for Palooza. It doesn't have enough damage due to Soul Gnome. Isn't her name Savage Lips? Cindy Savage Lips? Isn't that her name? Am I incorrect? I'm pretty sure that's her name. Cindy Savage Lips. It's the one that drops verse 2. Which is the one that we're looking for. This does not want to drop a sandwich Savage Lips. Why must you taunt me so? We'll eventually need to get the sandwich emoji. Actually, does emojis even have a way to do sandwich? Let me see. Sandwich. We're gonna make a better sandwich though. But that's their version of a sandwich. Almost looks like s'mores. With the resolution on my other screen with the distance, that definitely looks like s'mores. Also, S'mores Days was the other week. I know, because my family always has the news on in the morning. And it was like International Cookie Day, and we had International Cat Day, and we had, what was the other one? International S'mores Day. But that definitely looks like s'mores to me from a distance. It does not look like a sandwich. Hey, we did it! We did it! Wow, that took way too long. We finally found her. There we go. Verse 2. We are now officially back at a set of 10. Double digits, where we shall always remain. Oh, sorry. Wait, we found... Hold up. Oh, we found 2. When I wasn't paying attention, I found 1. Oh, okay. Well, we found 2. Yay! Okay, apparently we found one that I didn't even notice. Whoops. No one else mentioned anything. I guess it died so quickly. But we actually got 2 within that time. I did not notice the first one. But apparently at some point we got another verse too. I'm not sure when. Maybe it was during the vault itself? No, I don't think so, because wasn't it still at 9? I'm not sure. But regardless, we have 2 more. So there we go, we have 11. And then tomorrow we shall continue. Kind of doing similar to what we did tonight. And go over the spoilers for next week. Sometime between now and then, I will have a video going up on Season 6. I mean, Season 6. For the weekly event video. It won't have any teams or anything, but, you know, we'll just chat about Season 6 and stuff like that in the video. Most of which we already covered on stream, but I just kind of want to have a nice, concise video on it. Still worth catching, though, because I'll still kind of, like, summarize everything. And go over, you know, all the normal stuff, just without any of the teams, pretty much, of how we normally would for a given week. Also, what was the event key drop table this week? Drifting Sands, it's pretty irrelevant. So nothing much was missed. Let's see. If a person, still needs to level classes, is it worth ditching Hawk for Rowan? If you have double Ironhawk, I would advise just sticking with double Ironhawk. However, if you don't have a proper, like, Gnomopalooza killing team, what you could do is use a single Ironhawk with Slayer for your verse farming, and then for your Gnomopaloozas, use Rowan builds. And then while you're doing Gnomopaloozas, you gain class XP, but while you're farming for verses, you have the higher speed for farming the verses, since you wouldn't have a proper team if you don't have double Ironhawk for the other thing. However, if you have double Ironhawk, honestly, I would just advise farming class events when it's not, or, you know, farming class XP when it's not a Gnomopalooza, or, you know, when it's not a vault event. Because the value, if you have double Ironhawk compared to using Rowan team, is just so ridiculously high that if you have one Ironhawk or double Ironhawk, you should pretty much be using those. If you have one, always do your verse farming with it. If you have 2, do both your verse farming and your Gnomopaloozas with it. And just save Rowan for otherwise. But yeah, if you only have 1, definitely do Rowan for class XP farming during Palooza, if nothing else. But if you have 2, definitely just stick with Ironhawk for literally everything. And just farm class XP outside of the event. Also, the quickest class XP in the entire game is actually not Explore. It's keeping a deliberately low PvP rating on a given week. It has to not be a Guild War week because I will raise it. But on a week that isn't a Guild War week, keep your PvP rating very low. And then you can end up repicking into very quick battles. Like here we have Chalice, here we have a one-shot ability. We literally just come in here with Rowan, it dies. And you get 2 XP for these instead of 1. So you generally want to do this with really low rating, because it doesn't take that many repicks. Here we go, another one-shottable one. Though that takes a little bit higher stats. Another one that could potentially be one-shotted. Another one that's definitely one-shottable. That's might not be, but could still be. That one you might want to skip. That one you definitely skip. But if your rating's very low, the chance that you get these one-shottable teams is really high. And you just go in with a Rowan, get 2 class XP, and you just keep doing that over and over again. It does require some amount of repickings, however, it is still quicker than doing Explore. So the quickest XP rate in the entire game for classes actually does not even utilize Explore, though it requires a lot more clicking compared to just constantly doing Explore, so some people just prefer Explore. However, the quickest XP in the rate in the game is deliberately keep a super low PvP rating and repick spam here so you can one-shot Rowan the weakest battle. This is required to have some amount of stats on your Rowan, though, of course. Earlier on in the game, you're probably better off sticking with Explore, because you need to have enough stats that you can actually one-shot stuff like this. Well, this one's very easily one-shottable, but, you know. You have to ideally be able to one-shot up to about 5,000 team score, is about how far you'd want to one-shot up to. So that teams like these just go down instantly. And then you get 2 XP for them. You just keep doing that over and over again to get class XP. But yeah, it's slightly quicker than doing Explore. And by slightly quicker, I mean like anywhere from like 30 to 50% quicker. Like, of course, you're getting double the XP per battle, but of course you still have to repick spam into them and stuff. But it's about probably about 15% quicker. Like, as quicker as using Ironhawk is, double Ironhawk, compared to Rowan, is about the speed difference of using PvP for XP farming compared to class XP farming, that is, compared to using Explore for it. So if you really want to go get that optimal class XP, that's the way you do it. I don't really mention that too much these days because obviously I have every class max in the entire game. So I haven't really needed to recently. However, when we go do the tier list for the thing, I might end up mentioning it in there. That or maybe even have a separate video around that time where we cover the tier list, kind of going over tips and tricks for just class farming in general. Because it's something I don't mention too often, just given that I haven't needed to do it for Like, what, almost 2 years now? Or a year and a half? Whatever it's been. I think it's been 2 years at this point. Sure doesn't feel like that long, but I'm pretty sure it has actually been a little over 2 years now since I've had to ever bother with upgrading hero class. So we don't talk about it too often, even though it's a pretty integral part of how you play the game. It's just, we don't have to deal with it. Similar to how we don't do daily delves, because it's just something we don't have to deal with anymore, luckily, since we already have it done. Let's see, I already read that. Now you're punting for kingdom levels. Does leveling classes even matter anymore? Yes. You still need them for high kingdom stars. Really high kingdom stars still require you to have classes leveled. Like, for example, this one is a bad example because we don't need one. But you still need it for various objectives. And to get the final 30 star that kingdoms require at some point, because none of them currently need it. But to get the eventual 30 star for the extra 1 stat on every kingdom, requires to have a level 100 hero class for every hero class in the game. Obviously, we're still a ways from getting to that point, because I think at this point you need 70, one of these two, and then it goes to 100. Well, one of these two is 70, and then that one goes to 100. So eventually you do need to have the max for that purpose. However, obviously, still quite a ways away from that. But that will eventually be a factor that will require you to have hero class leveled in order to upgrade kingdoms. We're still a good, like, year or two away from that, so not too big a deal. However, it is still a factor super late in the game. But anyways, guys, I'm going to... if you get 30 star, you get literally 0 from Palooza. That'd be funny. No, you still get some amount, obviously. It's not going to raise your the team score that much. Like, every extra stat, I'm not sure about how much it raises it, but it's not that high. It's like 100, maybe. Maybe not that much. It might be even less than that. But anyways, guys, I'm going to be heading out for now. We will be back tomorrow night, same time as always, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 hours prior to now tomorrow. And I'll be messing around with a bunch of more farming. Finish out the last of it. Probably get a nice beefy stream in. Should hopefully be rested enough that we can go for several hours. Maybe up till midnight. We'll see. But we'll go for like 2, 3, maybe a little bit longer. Depends how rested we are by the time then. Whatever we feel up to. But we'll definitely do a bit of a longer stream. And to stick with tradition of having Sunday multiples codes. Who knows? We might hand out 2 codes tomorrow. And since we'll be going a little bit longer. But anyways, guys. I will catch you guys soon. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Vault event. There's still a full 24 hours. Well, a little over 24 hours. You got like, actually there's an exact timer in the game. 1 hour, or 1 day and 4 hours you have left. So 28 hours basically. So still plenty of time to go and farm up. But anyways, guys, best of luck with that. We'll have a video going up on Season 6 and a few other things with it, since we still haven't done that. And we should be back to normal schedule completely by Monday, where we, stream schedule is already back to normal. But, you know, video uploading schedule should be hopefully fully repaired by Monday, so we can go get that video up and, you know, go over all the normal stuff and then go over Chapter 2 tasks Monday night and, you know, go from there. And tomorrow night will mostly be spoilers for the week, as well as doing more Vault event, of course. But anyways, guys. Oh, yeah, it goes 70, then 80, then 100. You're correct. Thank you for that. But yeah, I forgot one of them does have that, like, that weird milestone one. It doesn't just go straight to 100, which kind of makes sense because 70 is the halfway point. So it kind of makes sense that you'd have something kind of in between the two. But anyways, guys, thanks for stopping by. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Best of luck with the Vault event, and I'll catch you guys soon. Goodbye, everyone, and thanks for watching.